What is going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. I hope you're all enjoying your day today. Let's go ahead and dive into our daily cryptocurrency content and analytics for today. Let's pop our guilt-free soda. Here's our sparkling water and talk about some price predictions. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Tron, and several other coins from our user requests just because of the fact that the market is currently in a consolidation phase. We've really been around 7,500 over the past couple of days, and we've really just stuck around these price levels. And the question is, where are we going to be headed? And that's what I want to talk about today. And I first want to talk about this RSI. And if you're looking at the Bitcoin, this is our trading view chart. If you're new here on Snipers too, this is a free resource. The link is in the description below. But our RSI here, the relative strength index, indicates you can see anything over 70 would be considered oversold. Anything under 30 is overbought. Anything under 30 is oversold. And you can see we've already crossed below 40 on the RSI. And in my opinion, it's just looking a little bit bearish knowing that we're under this price range. But at the same time, like I mentioned in our previous analysis 2 days ago, it is probably the best time to start dollar cost averaging your way into Bitcoin with RSI levels still under 35. Anything under 35 is an oversold region in the RSI, indicating we're most likely going to see lows along these levels. So looking at Bitcoin's price levels, you can see 50-day moving average here, we're still below this 50-day moving average. However, we're following an ascending support line. The reason I am paying attention to this ascending support line is, in my opinion, this right here is the most bullish pattern I've seen Bitcoin in quite a while, which is this overall pennant forming on the one-day chart. If you don't know what a pennant is, we have a free resource. It's our Discord, and the link is in the description below. And when you go under trading patterns, obviously the pennant has the ascending support levels with the descending resistance levels, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. But what's most important about what we're seeing with Bitcoin is the fact that this pennant here is forming on the one-day chart, which is a chart that has a lot of data to it in regards or in comparison to like a 4-hour or 1-hour chart. So knowing that we're seeing this overall pennant on the one-day chart, for me, it's extremely bullish, knowing that we're also approaching this apex. And then you can see we're seeing this volume starting to decrease, but sometimes decreasing volume isn't a bad thing, right? Especially during a consolidation period where you're trying to accumulate buyers in the market. Sometimes you'll see a drop in volume followed by a season of increased volume, which typically in this market, we've seen the June-July season being the most bullish entering into October, November, and December. Obviously, you guys remember the December rally that occurred, and that's typically happening during these later months in the year. So Jose Saldana says, we love you in New York. Thank you. Tiarnan says, 50 likes for book giveaway. Absolutely. If we hit 50 likes, we'll do a book giveaway. Matter of fact, why don't we do this? If we hit 300 likes, we'll do 10 book giveaways. How about that? I love giving away books because really, for me, books are what allow me to understand and decimate all of this information and become more of a competent individual and professional in this industry, because understand that books are a different type of learning mechanism than it is from listening or watching videos, because when you're reading books, you're talking to yourself. So one book I'm very excited about and very passionate about is The Internet of Money by Andreas Antonopoulos. I guess that's how you say his name. But it's a very basic book about Bitcoin. I highly recommend everyone read that book. But let's move on to our Ethereum analysis. Knowing that Bitcoin is looking bullish, I think dollar cost averaging a position into Bitcoin right now is the smartest decision. You can see here with Ethereum, what I'm liking is this 50-day moving average following this typical market cycle pattern, whereas we're now starting to head up. You can see we have these fractal formations forming with these 50-day moving averages. And if you look at this pattern, we slightly fell off of this ascending channel. It was something that we expected, knowing that we were at these higher RSI levels for quite a while. Now, the difference with Ethereum than with Bitcoin is the fact that Ethereum was already doing very well in comparison to Bitcoin, and now we're starting to see volumes level off. But I just don't think that Ethereum is going to be an underplayer for any reason at this point. Knowing that EOS and Tron are coming into this market, obviously they're going to start competing with Ethereum, but at the same time, liquidity in Ethereum is pretty stable and pretty solid in my opinion. We're not going to see too much of that liquidity go to these other de-application platforms. So what's interesting about what we're seeing here, in my opinion, is the fact that this MACD fast length is well on its way down. We're starting to see sellers come in, people starting to take some profits. And in my opinion, Ethereum just doesn't look as promising as Bitcoin right now, knowing that the RSI is a lot higher, around 50, than in comparison to Bitcoin, where the RSI is sitting right around 35. So that's what I would say about Ethereum, knowing that Ethereum obviously is a project that we're extremely bullish on in the long term. You can dollar cost your position in. I don't see it seeing any further lows from this known support level of around 7.4 million Satoshis. I believe what we're going to see coming from here is this rounding bottom form its shape, and then we're going to see that breakout occur sometime soon as this RSI starts to accumulate around these lower RSI levels, knowing that we can surely see overbought levels sometime soon here for Ethereum. So let's take some requests from the live audience before we go into our next coin. Let's see here. Austin Twist says, Tony Vase thinks BTC is going into the 4,000. What makes you think he's wrong? Well, I think that Bitcoin going to 4,000 would be pretty dramatic and pretty extensive. I think that wouldn't be a good thing for this market. And then at the same time, Austin, I believe that institutional money is coming to this market sometime soon as regulations mature. So I don't see this market going any lower than 6,000, knowing that we've already formed a double bottom at that level. I would only expect us to form a triple bottom and then start heading upwards as more institutional liquidity comes in. So hopefully that helps. Somebody says, TRX, Hungry Probe. We did a huge TRX video yesterday. Hopefully you watched that one. We were extremely bullish on TRX, of course. TRX seeing like 12% gains following that video. Nothing that has to do with us, but obviously, like I talked about in the video, the mainnet is launching. They just launched their virtual machine. They just did a new partnership with the sports company. It's just well on its way up. And in my opinion, Tron, EOS, and Ethereum are going to be the three leading blockchain application platforms in the short term, and then Cardano and Stellar can probably come up later down the road along with Neo and other the application platforms. But we know there's use case in this type of arena, so that's how we are able to invest confidently in coins like Ethereum, EOS, and Tron. But looking at Tron, you can see we're 9% up over the past 7 days, and it's looking extremely bullish even today with a 7% gain, and then EOS seeing 4% today. The two leaders in the top 10 right now, with Bitcoin slightly up around 2%. But what I'm looking at right now is EOS and Tron. That is where the majority of my holdings are right now, as I expect and await the next run up. And then the Binance coin, 1% up today. Another coin that I'm extremely bullish on, and you can see we're still sitting at around $13. I can see that well over $20 sometime around June and July. So it's going to be exciting to see where this market goes as we start to see more liquidity flow in. Faisal said, if that is the Bitcoin bottom, why not big money get in then? Would it be better for them to get in when it is at the lowest? Well, like I mentioned, Faisal, we're waiting for regulations. Understand, if you have millions of dollars, ask yourself this. Are you going to put the millions of dollars into an asset class or an investment that you're not confident about? Like, what if the government says, okay, everyone holding Bitcoin right now has to release their Bitcoin and it's over, right? Well, if you're a big investor, right, and you're an institution, you just put several $1 billion into this asset, well, now you're kind of screwed, right? So you need regulation. You need confidence in these markets before institutional money will come in, because they're very particular with where they put their money. Matthew Fisklin, good to have you, brother. Says, nice to have a live stream and see you on this lovely Saturday afternoon. It is a beautiful Saturday. I agree, Matthew. And I'm loving the market right now. You know, we're not seeing any crazy moves, and that's what I'd like to see. You know, we're not seeing a huge bloodbath. We're not seeing even a huge green wave today. We're just kind of chilling, right? You can see BTC dominance starting to head towards that 40 again. I don't think we'll see anything over 40. I think we'll see some resistance around the dominance being at 40. I definitely think that altcoin dominance is going to start rising over the next several weeks. And the reason I say that is you can see we were already on our way up with altcoin dominance, seeing new all-time highs recently, but then we saw a little bit of a retracement period, right? And that's nothing to be worried about. You always want to go up and then go down, have some accumulation occur, and then start heading back up to higher levels, right? You never just want to go straight up, because what goes up must come down. So knowing that, you can see we peaked out on altcoin dominance at around 26.35%. Now we're around 24.72%. I think that over this next phase in the next couple of weeks, when we see the liquidity flow into this market and we see another green wave, I think the green wave is going to be more focused towards these altcoins, taking it from around 25% with where it's at right now to around 30% in dominance. But I just don't see Bitcoin going down in valuation because of that. I understand dominance doesn't mean price levels, right? So you can still have a Bitcoin at $50,000, but Bitcoin only being 5% dominant, right? It just depends on how much liquidity is spread throughout the market and how it's divided. So knowing that, I still believe Bitcoin has its intrinsic value, but I also believe that we're going to start to see more altcoins gain dominance over this market as institutional investors come in and realize that it's not just Bitcoin that they can invest in, and then even retail investors that aren't as familiar with some of these other coins like the Binance coin or Zilliqa or Icon and things of that nature, and then they'll go in and invest in those coins as they start to learn how to go ahead and do that. So somebody says, regulation or not, Wall Street is all over Bitcoin. Jose Saldana. Absolutely. I mean, Wall Street right now, if you don't know this, I had a friend of mine at Consensus. I didn't go to Consensus, but we had people on the ground. I'm recording my course right now, and that's taking a lot of time. But when we were at Consensus, or at least our team was, guess what the biggest booths were at Consensus? The biggest booths at Consensus were 2 hedge funds, from what I heard, right? So 2 institutional investors in reality, right? It was 2 crypto hedge funds. I think actually one of them was a bank. So knowing that, and also if you don't know, there's actually a coin being released by the app Circle, which is backed by, I believe, JP Morgan, and if not JP Morgan, another bank, and they're creating a tether type of currency, right? It's going to be called the USDC, the USD Circle, and it's going to be tethered to the US dollar and backed by actual Federal Reserves, actual currencies, right? So knowing that, does that not make you more and more bullish about this market? Right? Like, how much more confident would an institutional investor be to enter this market and then hedge when Bitcoin is seeing some volatility with USDC, which is actually backed by US federal dollars, than to just put it into USDT and not really know if it's backed or not, being the fact that they dodged their audit and things like that. And obviously we have this whole tether drama, but isn't that interesting, right? So I don't know if people know that. Topher says Circle partially owned by Goldman Sachs. Well, there you go. So it's interesting. Angel Brown says, let's talk about Tron. I'm excited for Tron. You know, they released their, let's do a Tron analysis here. So we'll do a TRX analysis, but I'm really excited about Tron. I mean, they released their virtual machine, allowing developers that have developed applications on Solidity, for example, to literally just plug and play into the Tron ecosystem. Now, what I like about what formed here, this was a classic cup and handle. This is something we actually called out on our live stream. Do you guys remember? Look, this was drawn out before I was even able to draw anything, right? Like, we already knew we were about to consolidate, and then we were expecting a run up, and that's exactly what happened. We formed a small handle here, and now we saw a little bit of a breakout, and now we're most likely going to see resistance upon this known resistance level, and that resistance level is most likely going to form the final handle for us to see the major breakout here for Tron, which would fall right in line with the mainnet launch, which is due to launch right here on May 31st. So there's only a matter of time before I believe we'll see all-time highs here for Tron, and this is just a classic fractal pattern formation that I believe has formed here. Now, the one thing you have to notate is we've got this positive divergence here with the RSI, but you still want to be a little bit careful because we're starting to head into these overbought levels. Once we head to these overbought levels, I would secure your positions and then wait until we see a retracement before putting in any new positions. We just recently had a MACD crossover. We're starting to see more buyers come to this market. We called out this histogram before this even started to go up, but you can see we're starting to see the buyers come in, and we're starting to see that hype build up towards this mainnet launch. So I would, in my opinion, if you do have a position in Tron, hold on to that position, wait until we're above that 70 in RSI levels, and then take your profits, maybe even just hold the coins that were profit into Tron and then take your initial investment out. I think that's the best strategy in this market right now. It's a strategy that I used to talk about a lot in December, and I stopped talking about it in January, but I'm kind of reigniting that strategy back to my community because I think it's the most understandable and least risk averse strategy. And what that is if you put in an investment, let's say of $100 into Tron and it turns into $200, we'll take your $100 out and then leave the $100 that you made into Tron, and then now you're what is called playing with house money, right? So when you're playing with house money, you have nothing to lose, and that's free coins. And you'll literally build a portfolio. I know individuals that have built multi-million-dollar portfolios all on free coins, which means they use that strategy at a higher level, right? Putting in $10,000, turning it into 20,000, taking out their 10,000, leaving the 10,000, and that's their free coins, going on and doing that over and over and over and over and over again. Johan says above 70 on the 4-hour or 1 day. Well, both of them are important, Johan, but I'm referring to the 1 day RSI. So I believe in regards to RSI, I like using the 1 day RSI just because for me, it's extremely accurate. Like every time we go to these overbought levels, you can see right here, we were at overbought levels. We ended up dropping significantly after being overbought, right? And then we dropped all the way down into the neutral zone, and that was where we eventually saw a bottom and then a reversal. So the 1 day RSI, in my opinion, is the most useful for me at least. Dodge says, everyone is expecting Tron to moon. Don't forget to set up tight stop losses. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Take your profits soon with Tron. You just have to play this properly. Remember, get your initial investment in and out. Grant Lacorte says, Naeem, a friend argued that the Fed and U.S. government will simply issue their own coin to solve the wire fund transaction fee issues and other problems solved by crypto. What are your thoughts? Well, here are my thoughts about that, Grant. If a government institution releases a coin, right? Like, for example, you've got USDC coming out. That's backed by actual US dollars by Goldman Sachs, I believe, since they might be the subsidiary that has interest in Circle, which is the company initiating this new coin called USDC. And what's interesting about that is it's backed by actual dollars in a bank. So what if the other countries, I was having a mastermind last night, and we talked about what if the countries were to create their own cryptocurrency and just back their fiat currency with that cryptocurrency. And that would be the transition into this new digital age of digital currencies, right? Well, here's the issue with that. How much are you going to trust that, right? Because then it becomes like Tether, right? Because if a bank is backing this cryptocurrency and let's say it's tethered to the US dollar, well, if they want to just make more cryptocurrency, all they have to do is add zeros in their system, right? Because that's really what the federal system does now. They just print money. So it still becomes an issue. And that's why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin goes back to the fundamentals of currencies and the exchange of goods and services. And it allows us to trade an object which is limited in quantity. It's a intrinsically valuable asset, right? So it's a lot different than the Federal Reserve, which can just print as much money as they want. So even if we had a currency backed by a Federal Reserve, how trusted would it be to you? Because guess what? They can just print as much as they want, right? For them, it's just as simple as just adding more zeros on their system. Because in all reality, the majority of money right now is digital, right? You go into your bank account on Bank of America app or Chase app or whatever app you use, and you just see digital money. You don't actually have the physical money. So for these banks to back this currency, they could just create as much digital money as they want, if you really think about it. So it's kind of scary, right? Yes or no? Grant says, eliminates elite controlling hand. And that's why I'm bullish about Bitcoin. You know, it globalizes the economy. It creates this asset that's intrinsically valuable, limited in quantity, and something that people are willing to trade and exchange goods and services for because of those properties, the same way gold was used in the early ages. So Angel Brown says anything is possible. Well, here's the fact of the matter. If you don't remember, banks recently closed off the ability for you to buy Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency with your credit card, right? And when that happened, you have to think about why they did that. Well, guess what? People were leveraging the bank's money to buy a cryptocurrency in hopes that the valuation would go up and people would make money on leveraged money that was already being leveraged through the bank. And I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here, but the point is this. We were going literally against the bank's business model because at the end of the day, the banks are businesses. And they were like, we can't have this happening. So they banned transactions of credit cards buying any cryptocurrencies. They don't want you leveraging their money that's already being leveraged to buy even more leveraged money, if that makes any sense. Because now you're leveraging against the banks, right? So it's literally, here's the point. If you don't understand what I'm saying, because it does get complex, and I might be saying it in a complex way, but the point is the banks and cryptocurrencies are in a war. Like, that's really the reality of this. There is a war going on. It's almost like the Cold War, right? It's not a physical war, but there's a war going on right now. And in my opinion, the banks have no leverage over this. They're screwed. It's just the fact of the matter. Like, think about it. What are the banks going to do? We're the ones in control here. You can't undecentralize a decentralized system. We're going to decentralize the economies in the world, and we're going to decentralize the financial system. And it sucks for the banks, but guess what? It happens all the time. What happened to the U.S. Postal Service, right? They almost went bankrupt. I think they did go bankrupt because guess what? Email took over. Nobody's sending postcards. Nobody's sending physical mail. Yeah, you should send postcards if you are going somewhere. I believe so. I love sending postcards out to family, but most people don't utilize that stuff anymore. They like to send pictures. They like to just do everything digitally. So this is just another revolution occurring, right? Timothy says, there's been a lot of pushback against globalization. Example, Brexit, right? Don't you expect some negative pushback globally when crypto gets larger than a subtle nuance to the banks? Well, what are they going to do, Timothy? At the end of the day, like, if it's a more efficient system, guess what? How many years has a credit card been around, right? If you have a credit card, like, how long have credit cards been around? For over 25 years, right? How long have these phones been around? For less than a decade in reality, right? Maybe a little over a decade. Well, guess what? In 10 or 20 years, and by the way, what do you always have on you? No matter what, your phone or your wallet, sometimes both, but I typically will forget my wallet more than I'll forget my phone. I always have my phone on me. What do you use more, your phone or your wallet? Your phone, right? Well, guess what? Do you think people are going to, in 10 years, pay with their phone or their wallet? In my opinion, their phone. Why? Because we use it more, right? So it makes sense. At the end of the day, what are the governments going to do? Well, there's only so much they can do, right? Like, understand the U.S. is very, very apprehensive, and they're very cautious with what they're doing to cryptocurrencies right now because of one reason. And that reason is they just can't control it, right? What are they going to do? Ban cryptocurrencies in the U.S.? There are going to be so many other ways for us to access it. It's almost like the alcohol prohibition, right? What happened with that? They banned alcohol, and it didn't do anything. There was just a black market that was created, and now they just weren't able to tax it, right? What's going on with the marijuana legalization industry, right? The governments are like, fine, you guys, we can't control it, so we might as well tax it, right? Same exact scenario, I believe, it's going to happen here. The governments are going to have to adapt to us. We're not going to have to adapt to them. And we've seen that time and time again in history, right? When has the governments taken the control over the people? And yes, it's happened before. You've got Hitler. You've got these scenarios. But at the end of the day, the people are what can control and guide the future of a country, in my opinion, because we've got the majority in numbers. And if you've read the book, The Power of Numbers, you know that there's power in numbers. So in my opinion, the government's going to adapt to it. And that's why we're seeing the U.S. really allowing us to self-regulate ourselves in this market. And that's what we've seen. So somebody says, government's concerned about taxes and money laundering. Well, who cares, Mehdi? Like, think about it. Who cares that people are money laundering with crypto? Because guess what? People are money laundering with fiat currency too. People are money laundering with PayPal. Money laundering is an issue in all financial systems. So all you need to do is, okay, well, here's another financial system. Yes, there's going to be money laundering. How can we effectively prevent it? That's the real question. Not, oh, well, there's money laundering, so we can't do this. Think about, what was it, Nigeria? We did a live stream yesterday. Nigeria just lifted its ban on cryptocurrencies, right? It's just the alcohol prohibition round 2, basically, right? They're like, oh, well, let's ban this, and they realized they couldn't do it, and then guess what? They unbanned it. And I see that happening for more of these countries. Even China, right? They banned ICOs. Guess what? Give them a little bit of time, and I guarantee you China is going to start allowing ICOs. They're just going to want to self-regulate or at least create regulations upon it in order to maintain it properly. Pedro Nieves says, the great recession of our lives is coming pretty soon, guys. Brace yourselves. Bigger than the 1929 one. Massive at a global scale. Protect yourselves. Buy crypto. I had an individual of mine, and I want to ask the audience this. What do you guys think is going to happen? Let's say the stock market crashes, right? Sometime soon. And the stock market will most likely crash sometime soon, right? Ray Dalio says market cycles typically take up to 8 to 10 years, and then there's always a crash. And we've already been in this bull market for over 10 years. So let's say the market crashes, right? Do you believe that during the market crash, people are going to hedge into crypto and we're going to see crypto go up? Or do you believe that after the crash, people are, instead of putting money back into the stock market, going to put money into crypto? That's kind of a fun thought, because either or, crypto wins, right? That's the point here. Either way, crypto wins. Because guess what? Companies are not going to see the benefits of just going public versus just tokenizing something. Because when you tokenize, you don't have to give up equity. And they're going to say, I'd rather tokenize than give up equity. Because in the public stock market, you have to give up equity. In the crypto market, you can tokenize and not have to give up equity. And then if you're a business owner here, who here likes to give up equity? If you do, well, you're a pretty, depends, right? If you're giving up equity because of a partnership that's beneficial, that's a different story. But if you're just giving up equity, nobody just wants to give up equity, because guess what? You're going to run out of equity. So it's like, it makes sense. If I'm a company, I'd rather tokenize and done deal. Think about Telegram. They tokenized and raised over $1 billion. Al Ben says, gold will not get hedged when stocks crash. Crypto will get hedged by the retail traders in traditional markets. We'll understand that typically during recessions, you'll see most people hedge in cash, just because cash can be used, right? Well, Bitcoin can also be used if you really think about it. So hopefully before any recession, there are more use cases for cryptocurrencies, so that if it does crash, we could see a hedge in crypto. But that would be a astounding response if that were to happen, in my opinion. For us to hedge against with crypto during a stock market crash, that would be astounding, because that means we just replaced the US dollar, because that's typically what's hedged. Because people, I mean, yes, you can hedge in gold and silver and things like that, but at the end of the day, people want cash because they can use it. Aki says, Wall Street has begun backing cryptos. Money is going to start pouring in. Of course, consensus was full of Wall Street. Mr. Chi says, Naeem talks real sense. Thank you. This is a fun discussion. Timothy says, have you heard of the crypto that allows you to invest value into individual people? That seems like an amazing use case. Interesting. Sushi Temp says, like for knowledge sharing. Mehdi says, blockchain very soon will become the fourth big revolution of the world. Will change any aspect of life. I believe that as well, Mehdi. Good scenario there. Christopher Martin Hartley says, if the stock market crashes, won't the crypto market crash alongside it and everything else except silver and gold and copper? Well, that's what I'm talking about. What do you guys think is going to happen, right? Because typically when stock markets crash, the majority of markets also crash with it. And you'll see people hedge with cash typically, or sometimes gold and silver and things like that. But what happens if people hedge with cryptocurrencies this time? That would be huge. Timothy says, I would invest in you, buddy. Thank you. Pedro says, what's your opinion of this current system of USD that isn't backed by anything? Before 1971, USD was backed by gold. Now they just keep printing money based on nothing. Well, that's an issue, in my opinion, Pedro. That's a big issue that cryptocurrencies will solve. And I think we are going to solve it. I really, truly believe this is going to be, like, understand here. Check this out. I mean, look at the NASDAQ here, right? Or let's look at Amazon. Amazon right now. This is the Amazon stock, right? And obviously we all know about Amazon. It's a huge company. But when you look at the Amazon, actually, let's do it right here. NASDAQ. So here's the Amazon stock. And if we were to go to a weekly chart and go all the way back here, this is what I believe, this is where we're at right now with crypto, in my opinion. If we were to go back all the way to this chart here, let's say right here, for example, right? So we had this huge rally and then a crash, right? So we had a huge rally here, and this was in 1998. We had a huge rally, and then we crashed all the way back down to the previous lows. Well, guess what? Here's what I see in this market. It doesn't matter. A lot of this doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, look what eventually happened. Look what eventually happened. Look at that. Look at that. Woo! Look how insignificant this period of time looks now in comparison to how it looked in the moment, right? In the moment, it looks scary. But overall, it's like, my gosh, look how beautiful this is. So knowing that markets work in this manner, if there's intrinsic value, if there's actual problems being solved, in my opinion, Bitcoin solves a problem. Cryptocurrencies solve a problem. It's going to see the exact same type of upswing and growth. So let's see here. Ray Dior says, well, hindsight is 2020. LOL. Yeah, I wish I knew that when I got into Bitcoin in 2010, right? I had no foresight then. I would have held on to a lot of Bitcoin. But let's do an XRP analysis really quick, because XRP is doing something very interesting. If you look at Ripple, we are right below that 50-day moving average. And here's something I want you all to know. We're seeing negative divergence here with volume, but we're starting to see a little bit of a pickup now. But most importantly, we're now about to cross over here with the MACD. If you were to ask me which coin has the most potential alongside with Bitcoin, being that we did a Bitcoin analysis earlier in this video, I would say it is Ripple. And the reason I say that is you can see a MACD crossover is about to initiate. Not only that, RSI levels have already double bottomed at 37. We're now seeing it on a neutral zone, starting to form positive divergence. And then most importantly, we are right below that 50-day moving average. So here's what I would say. If you're dollar cost averaging a position into Ripple, it's probably a good time to do so. We've got some known support levels right around 7,600 Satoshis. So in my opinion, we're forming a breakout pattern soon. I would wait until we touch that 50-day moving average, go above it, and then watch the EMA. You can see this EMA in red, right? We are starting to go bullish on that EMA as we're on top. We're not bouncing, but we're still on top. And what I would do if I were you, wait for this EMA to go below price levels so that price levels are bouncing on top of this EMA before initiating a position here in Ripple. And I do believe we can see Ripple heading above previous highs sometime soon, knowing that they are establishing a lot of partnerships. And if you don't know about Ripple, they just recently had a huge campaign on the Ellen show where they sent 4 million Ripple within a snap of a finger. And what I think is cool about Ripple is recently they've taken an initiative that I've never seen them take before, right? In December, I was a lot more negative against Ripple, but coming into March and April and now May, Ripple has been doing a lot of cool things, right? Walmart partnership, MoneyGram partnership. They just launched a partnership with an app. They are starting to invest into marketing. They've already got a ton of capital to utilize, right? They have a huge market cap. Their use case is beyond the majority of other cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, understand, yes, the XRP token has a large max supply, but they burn a lot of their tokens. So over time, that max supply will decrease, thus enabling their coin to increase in value. Not only that, we are at known support levels, which are accumulation zones. We're seeing that negative divergence with volume, but we're starting to see a little bit of a pickup. If you really look at it, we're starting to see a little bit of pickup. In my opinion, Ripple is looking fairly bullish. I would wait for a confirmation with us bouncing on top of that EMA for you to initiate any position, because that would also allow this positive divergence to confirm itself as well. So that's what I would say. Somebody says, we got a couple of super chats. XRP and TRX added to Apple's native iOS stock app. Yes. Vovan says, check Zebi, guys. Aki says, XRP to Andromeda Galaxy. So if you are a Patreon, we're doing a Ruby and Above Night Owl. If you guys don't know, we have a Patreon platform. We do daily trend signals. So if you guys are on the go, we'll literally post daily trend signals. Here is actually one of the premium technical analysis we recently posted here. Let's do EOS. That was a nice one. So if you pull up EOS here, you can see here, we post daily signals here, daily updates, and I highly recommend you all check out our Discord. It's a free resource. You can just go to the Discord link, but you can see that was a trend signal for EOS, seeing 12% gains. But we're doing a Ruby and Above Night Owl, May 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing a Q&A and meet and greet, and we're going to be giving away some things. So highly recommend you attend if you are able to. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion today. This was a fun live stream. Do you guys agree? I think this was pretty fun. We did a lot of discussion and, you know, back and forth talking. Corey says, Naeem, shave one eyebrow for 100 likes. I'll shave one eyebrow for 300 likes. How about that? On the live stream right now. What are we at right now? Oh my gosh. The likes just went from like 90 to like 200. Now they went just over 100. You guys really want me to shave my eyebrow on the stream? Come on. Be nicer than that. All right. Somebody says book giveaway. Yeah, we'll do a book giveaway. So here's the question for the book giveaway. And to be eligible, all you have to do is answer it in the chat and like the video. What does the red line right here indicate? I was talking about it earlier. You can just tell me the abbreviation for it. What does this red line indicate? And then we'll do a second book giveaway. And the question to this book giveaway is, what does the MACD stand for? So our first winner here, Crypto AK says smash the likes. Jeff A says 50 day. No, that's not the 50 day. 50 day is actually the white one. Let's see. Brian says moving average. It's a moving average, but what type of moving average? Let's see here. All right. FX Machinima says EMA. You won. Exponential moving average or moving average exponential. So it's a different type of moving average, right? So FX Machinima, message at SnipersTube on Twitter, and we'll get you that book. And then Luis Moshin says moving average convergence divergence. You are also correct. That's what the MACD stands for. So message me on Twitter at SnipersTube, and we'll get you a book sent to you. And with that being said, hopefully you all enjoyed this. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming in. If you're not already on our Discord, this is our 24/7 crypto trading community where we've got analysts there 24/7 to answer your questions, help you guys out. And I look forward to seeing you guys on our next live stream. Thank you so much. And with that being said, Angel Brown says, thank you so much. Thank you. Johan says, thanks. Thank you. Devow says, any more info about your learning course you were filming? Yes, that course will be released soon, and I will let you guys know when that's released. Not much info right now. Brian says, thank you, my friend Brino, Grant, John, Sushi, Timothy, Ray. Take care, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. And with that being said, Snipers out.